This is the best cinnamon rolls I've ever had. The best overnight cinnamon rolls I've ever had. Hey guys, just a little preface to this video. This is also part of my meal prep, but this is the best cinnamon rolls I've ever had. The best overnight cinnamon rolls I've ever had. So I decided to do a specific video just for these cinnamon rolls. So my mixer I've already been using today because I'm prepping, and yes, it does have remnants of pizza crust in there, but that's quite all right. Not a big deal. It's the same stuff almost exactly going in, except the cinnamon roll has more stuff in it. Also, you're gonna hear people mowing grass because that's going on, and clothes washing. But I want to tell you about the best overnight cinnamon rolls ever, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with preparing them and do my best to tell you how I'm doing it. I did change the recipe a tiny bit, but only because I put more brown sugar and I also put less salt. So yeah, but I'm gonna tell you the way I do it, and then I will put the actual recipe down below from where I got it. So I'm gonna get my camera set up and start with this. I think it should be good right there. All right, I need 1 cup of warm milk. I'm gonna put that in. I warmed it a little bit. It said to warm it in the microwave, so that's what I did. And then I need in here my yeast, which is 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. Grab that out. I keep my yeast in the refrigerator. Whenever it's some, like in this little thing, I just refill this. But whenever when I first buy it, I stick it in the freezer. It keeps it alive longer. Just a little tip in case you didn't know. So let's see, what'd I say? 1/4 cup. Yes, that's 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I'm going to mix it a tiny bit. I've got to get my stand mixer, the bowl up, and mix it a little. And you're supposed to mix it until it gets foamy. It's already starting to foam on me, but I'm gonna go ahead and do what it says. I'm sorry, you're not supposed to mix it till it gets foamy. You're supposed to let it stand till it gets foamy for like 5 minutes, and I'll be right back once this gets foamy. Okay, at this stage, you're going to add in your eggs, which is 2 eggs, flour, which is 4 cups of flour, and your salt, which is 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And 4. No, it's not perfect, but neither am I. And I did clean my mixer before I got started. Okay, you're gonna mix until it is sticky and a ball is kind of formed. You're gonna think that you've made the biggest mistake of your life, but that's okay, you haven't. Now I'm gonna add in 6 teaspoons or 6 tablespoons of butter, a couple tablespoons at a time. So I'm gonna do that, but you're not gonna actually hear all of it because this thing's loud, and I'll put music or something. Okay, during this process, I always try to scrape down my bowl some so that I said that weird, so all the stuff can get mixed in and you don't like leave your goodies on the side of the bowl. So I'm going to let this keep mixing until all of the butter is incorporated, because you got to let all that buttery goodness get in there, because it's just part of the whole thing. Okay, let's see. Yes, I use my hands a lot whenever I'm cooking. That's what they're made for, is to use, not for, you know, whatever, I don't know what. So I'm gonna let it go, and you do this for about 10 minutes or so, and you can do it by hand, but I have a mixer, so why not use the gift my family gave me? So again, you're gonna feel like you just made the biggest mistake ever. It's gonna be like super sticky. You're gonna be like, this is horrible. How in the world can this ever be good? This dough is terrible. It's not. I promise, it's not. This dough is exactly like it should be, other than a little bit of the butter didn't mix in, but I can do that by hand right now, which actually you can't really see the dough very well. So this is what it looks like. Super sticky, super wet, but that's also super buttery. So now that you've got it incorporated mostly, you're going to take it. Why do I slap the dough? I don't know. It's just a thing that I do. You're going to take it and you're going to put it in your bowl. You're going to put some saran wrap over it. You're going to let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. Okay, so now we're going to get back to our cinnamon rolls. We have them, or we have the dough fresh out of the refrigerator. I have my little silicone mat here and my rolling pin and a pan ready to put the rolls in once they are done with this step. And this is a lot. There's a lot of steps. I just put it that way. There's a lot of steps to this, but it's very worth it. So I'm going to put down some all-purpose flour here. And I'm using all-purpose because that's what I used in the beginning whenever I, you know, put the dough together. That's what it's called. I'm going to put a little bit on my rolling pin. It doesn't get on this rolling pin very well, but that's what happens with marble anyway. So I'm going to take the dough out. And it feels like heavy but light, if that makes sense. It's heavy because it's heavy, but then it feels like it's got a lot of air in it, which is what you want because you want it to be risen some. So I'm going to get all the goodie that I can out of the bowl. Put the bowl over here in my sink. And then I'm going to take and I'm just going to flip it over. And now we're just going to start rolling it out. And, oh no, I've got my paper turned on the wrong side. Before I get too floury, let me flip it over so I can read all my instructions properly. So, this is supposed to be rolled out to, about 12 by 16. So, 12 would be here, 16 would be here, and 12 would be about like that. So I'm going to do best I can. I probably should have used my wooden rolling pin for this because this dough is a little bit stiff because it's cold, and that's fine. It doesn't matter if it's stiff. And whenever I'm doing dough, see, that would have started sticking. I like to flip it around, throw the flour everywhere. And I don't really like to throw the flour everywhere because then I have to clean up the mess. But anyway, I like to roll it around, flip it around, and get all of it as evenly as possible. Now, it says to roll it out into a rectangle. I have never been good at rolling things into the shape they need to be. Just never have. So, as we go along here, I'm going to do the best I can to get it into whatever shape will work. Okay, so this part is where you put your butter on. And I am really hoping that I have let this butter get to room temperature and it's going to work like I need it to. It may not. I don't know, but we'll see. If it does not, then I'm just going to have a battle. But what you do is you put the butter on, and I do believe it's at a good temperature. You put a half a stick of butter on here, and you rub it all over the surface as much as you can, except on like the last inch over here. You don't put it on 1 inch of actually it's supposed to be 1 inch over here, so sorry. The short side anyway is what it's supposed to be, but I have this turned the wrong way for me, so I'm gonna use my hand some. Okay, in this bowl right here, I'm gonna mix together 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 pinch of salt, and 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. Okay, so I'm going to mix this together, and then I'm going to put it all over the top of the cinnamon rolls. I should have got a bigger bowl, but that's okay. I'll make it work. Now the recipe calls for 3/4 cup of brown sugar, but last time I made this, I found that it really wasn't quite enough. So, I put a little bit more. But of course, I always swap up my recipes. I make them my own, you know, that kind of thing. So, that's just how I do it. It does not say if you need dark brown or light brown either. But the difference in the light brown and the dark brown is the amount of molasses that's in it. The dark brown just has more molasses than the light brown. You can actually make your own brown sugar very easily. And if you'd like to know how, sometime I can do a video on it and show you guys. Just let me know in the comments if you'd like that. It's super simple. Alright, that's mixed enough. And I'm going to move my camera back over. I had moved these, but I didn't really need to. Let me get it back over this way some. Okay. So, we in frame? Yes, we are in frame. So now all I'm going to do is just put this on here, like just dump it in the middle. And then I'm going to put it all over the butter area, wherever there's butter. Okay, so some of us like pecans and things like that in our cinnamon rolls. Some in my family do not. So I'm going to take half of this and I'm going to put some frosted pecans on it. The other half I'm going to leave plain. Okay, so now comes the trickiest part, getting this to roll properly. And I'm going to do it the long way just because I put those on that way. Plus, it's just easier for me to do it from this side going that way. But you try to get it as tightly rolled as possible. And I just always start at the side closest to me. This is supposed to make 8 cinnamon rolls. Pretty big cinnamon rolls. But I always seem to get more. I don't know why. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. But that's okay too. Put that cinnamon back in there. Don't want to lose any of that cinnamon goodiness. Because it does come out a little bit. Okay. And you try to pinch that together, but it doesn't work very well for me, ever. It never does. Alright, and one more little trick, and I know I'm putting flour in this too. One more little trick. I try to seal the ends a little. I know it doesn't really do any good. But here's my little trick. I did not come up with this. It is not mine necessarily. But what you do is you take a piece of dental floss and you run it through. And that's a pretty big one, but the end one is always really big because it has all that dough. But you run that under the bottom. You have a perfectly cut cinnamon roll. You put it into your pan. And you don't have to worry about a knife. Whoop, I just shot a pecan over there. You don't have to worry about a knife. You don't have to worry about cutting your mat if you're using a mat like mine. You do have to worry about your hands not working well, because mine don't want to work. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this around, and I'm gonna try to show you from this angle. All right, I'm running my dental floss under there where I want it to be, and I'm crossing it, and I'm just pulling. So maybe you get the idea. It makes it so much easier to do this than it would any other way, I feel like, because it's cut the same all the way across. Now we're getting into the ones that don't have the pecans. My problem is my hands get dirty from the, you know, messing with the dough and everything, and the floss just doesn't want to work as well for me. And see, I already have 9 there, and this is supposed to make 8. So I'm doing something wrong every time I make this recipe, but it doesn't seem wrong to me because we get more cinnamon rolls than what it calls for. Okay, I'm gonna make this one about like that. This last one, it's a lot of dough at the end. That's mostly what it is. This one right here. So I'm gonna try to gather up some of this cinnamon roll stuff, the cinnamon mixture, and put in there. This one won't be as good as the rest, but it'll be okay. So now I'm gonna wrap this up. Then I can just dump this into the garbage and wash it. But this is what they look like. The end ones always look bad. That's just how it goes. And I'm gonna separate them a little bit because they're going to rise some. So now I'm gonna put plastic wrap on them, and I'm gonna let them sit for 30 to 90 minutes. It's just according to the temperature of your house, but I'm gonna let them sit covered up for 30 to 90 minutes, and then before that time is up, I will preheat my oven to 350, and I will bring you back whenever the oven is preheated and it's time to put them in. But I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands and then cover this up. I like to sit it on top of my stove to let it rise, but anyway, I'll bring you back when it's time to cook them. As you can see, this has a little over doubled in size, or I don't know if you've noticed or not, but anyways, they've risen is my point. And you can tell that there's gas in there because I had pushed this down before I got started, but as they rise, the gas comes out. So anyways, I'm going to take this off and put them in the oven. It is preheated to 350, as I said, and I'm going to cook them. It says bake at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes until they are golden on top and puffy. And then I'm going to remove them from the oven, and then we'll put the icing on. So while these are cooking, I'm going to start making the icing. I have 6 ounces, which it called for 4 ounces, I believe is what it was. I marked it out. Yes, it called for 4 ounces of cream cheese, but I put 6 ounces in it because I just like it better. And 4 tablespoons of butter, but I'm letting that get to room temperature. I'm going to put these in the oven and turn on my timer. That one, well, it'll be all right. Some of them are a little bigger than others, but anyway, I'm going to stick them in there, and I will bring you guys back whenever I start to put together the icing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the icing. And like I said, you use 6 ounces, or I use 6 ounces. It calls for 4, but I do 6 ounces of cream cheese. and 4 tablespoons of butter. The butter is not quite as to room temperature soft as I would like, but that's okay. I'll get it to work in there. I usually use well, not always, but I use a mixer, a hand mixer for this, but I'm just going to use my fork today. Just do it the old-fashioned way. But anyway, I'm going to get this part mixed in and go ahead and put in my vanilla in this part. So I need a teaspoon, no, a half teaspoon of vanilla extract. Get that in there. Pinch of salt, and I just put a very tiny bit of salt, not much at all. I don't even put a whole pinch, which there have been times when I didn't put the salt in it at all and I didn't notice any difference. Well, I get it all over my fingers. Okay. Alright, I got that pretty well mixed up there. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 of the 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. And mix that together. And I'm going to go ahead and add 1 of the tablespoons of milk. It says 1 to 4 tablespoons of milk. I have used heavy whipping cream in this, and it's good that way too. I just did that because I had it. I don't have any today. So I'm going to add the 1. Alright, I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon of milk. And I always add them just 1 at a time because sometimes you might need more than others. Oh, I just spilled some. Well, that wasn't good. Well, I guess I didn't need that because this looks done. Alright, I'm going to cover this up and it'll be ready for me whenever the cinnamon rolls are ready. But I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap. That was more like 1.5 tablespoons of the milk. And I'll get something else to spread this with, so I'm going to wash the fork. But that's the icing done. Okay, so this is what they look like whenever they come out of the oven. You might be able to see that they're still bubbling and stuff because of the butter and all the other things that were in there. But I always leave them in the pan because that way I have an easy way to contain them whenever I'm putting them away. So, which this one got a little wild, but it'll have to be the first one eaten. But you're supposed to let them cool on a wire rack for 5 minutes and then you put the icing on. So I'm going to let these sit here for a little while. I sometimes let them cool a little bit more than 5 minutes because they are super hot. I mean, that one's over there boiling, it looks like. It's just bubbling out. But I'll bring you back whenever I start to put the icing on. And then, you know, I'll finish it up. But they do get a little bit big. This is supposed to make 8 cinnamon rolls. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because there's what, 4, 8, 12? 12. And I probably could have made 2 more if I would have cut a few of these smaller. I don't know what I'm doing wrong to make them so much bigger or more, or I don't know. Either way, they are delicious, and we have plenty of cinnamon rolls. So I'm gonna let these cool for a while and come back. Alright, these have cooled down some, and now I'm going to go ahead and put the icing on. It seems to me that this is a whole lot of icing for these every time I do it. But it always works out, I guess. I think I picked the wrong spatula. I think whenever I had looked up the recipe to try to find some kind of recipe, I looked up overnight cinnamon rolls or refrigerator cinnamon rolls. Can't remember which one it was. It's been a long time ago since Ooh, I'm throwing icing all over me. That's okay, I'm already wearing a flower. Anyway, I can't remember which one it was, but these kind of remind me of Cinnabon. Actually, quite a bit like Cinnabon. So I just put the icing on, and they're ready to eat. And to store them, like, I know there's always going to be some left over, because unless you take them to a party or something, at least with my family, there's always plenty of leftovers. And to store them, I just cover them up and put them in the refrigerator. And then whenever we want one, we take it out, heat it in the microwave, or just eat it just like it is, cold. Either way, it's good. But that is what the cinnamon rolls look like. And yeah, I know you can't really see them because of all that icing, but that's the way it is. That's just how much icing that it says to make. Well, I did put 2 more ounces of cream cheese, but it just seems to need that flavor. But that's the cinnamon rolls. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like my channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so be notified whenever I upload. And also, if you want the recipe, it will be down below in the description. And some of the tools I use, like those measuring spoons and stuff like that, they're in my Amazon store. So if you would like to, or ones just like those are, and then other, like my little mat I did buy from Amazon, it's in there. And if you'd like to check out any of that stuff, because maybe you want it for your home, then it's in the Amazon store. I went ahead and made a store just to make it easier for everyone, so I wouldn't have to keep linking everything and finding everything, because sometimes it's harder to find stuff. But I am not selling the things on the Amazon store, but I do get a commission off of it if you buy something, like a very tiny bit. At least I'm supposed to. I haven't ever gotten anything yet, but who knows. You're supposed to, though, if you do the Amazon affiliate links. So anyway, that is all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, don't take any wooden nickels, and be sweet.